the white light hits the glass prism, then it will disperse into 7 different colors, which is vibgyor. And this splitting of white light into 7 different colors is what we call as the dispersion of light. Now, this is the mixture of color in the spectrum, and each color which we are getting over here will have a different wavelength and different frequency. So the colors which we are seeing, red to violet, they all will have different wavelength and frequency, making up a very narrow part of electromagnetic spectrum. Since a part of electromagnetic spectrum, we should know what exactly electromagnetic spectrum is. And this red to violet is a very small part. This is a very small range of this. How this 7 different color is formed? This is done by refraction. Okay. Violet light refracted most, while the red one is refracted least. The one which is least one is red and the violet one is the most. The visible light is defined as a range of wavelength which are visible to the human. Visible light is the only part of the EM spectrum. So that the visible region, which is like red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet, that is only detectable by human eye. Rest all the waves of EM waves cannot be detected by the human eye. But it is only 0.0035% of the whole EM spectrum. So electromagnetic spectrum is very wide, very big, but only thing which we can see is a very small part. So a bigger version of electromagnetic spectrum, you guys are able to see a very small part of electromagnetic spectrum, which the entire region is very big, but out of which we are able to see a very small part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Then the one which has the longest wavelength will refract least and will have the lowest energy and lowest frequency. So red is less harmful. Okay, generally we consider red as a color of harmful, but red light itself having longest wavelength and least frequency, least energy is less harmful to our body as compared to the violet one, which has the shortest wavelength and the highest frequency and highest energy. So you can see red has a more wavelength. This is one wave is that big, but in orange we have slightly more waves in this much. In violet, if you see, there are almost 2 and 3 wavelength, 2.5 wavelength in that particular region. So if you see from like bottom to top, the wavelengths are increasing. What is the electromagnetic spectrum? Electromagnetic spectrum is nothing but this is something which is made up of the entire EM wave, light present we have. And we have a different wavelengths. On the basis of different wavelength, X-rays and gamma rays. So these all comes in the part of the electromagnetic spectrum. Now, if you see that electromagnetic spectrum goes from radio waves to microwaves to infrared and then visible and then gamma rays. So the one which is on left has low energy, long wavelength and low frequency. One which is on right will have a higher energy, shorter wavelength and high frequency. So high energy, high frequency means this part is harmful to us and this part is not harmful to us. Then guys, some of the characteristics of electromagnetic waves. So those reason where we have high energy, having high ionizing power. So those waves which have high energy or high frequency are harmful to our cells or tissues and they may cause cancer. So you must have seen that, X-ray, gamma rays are not good for our skin, right? So radiation with the lower energy is useful for the communication and less harmful to the humans. One which is on this side of electromagnetic spectrum, like which is radio, micro and infrared. So radio waves we use for communication. You have seen radio waves and all. Even microwave we use for communication or cooking purpose, right? And infrared also we use for the communication for signaling and all. Since they have a longer wavelength, that means greater reach. And this all have a shorter wavelength and high frequency. So having high energy, and we should not come in influence of ultraviolet, X-ray and gamma rays so frequently. Even if you go to the X-ray room, it is written over there that you should not visit for X-ray once in a 6 month, or you should visit only in like once in a 6 month or so. So the one which has a higher energy is causing cancer or is basically harmful for us. And the radiation with a lower energy used for communication and less harmful for us. What all properties of electromagnetic waves? They all are in transverse in nature. That means particles are moving perpendicular and wave is propagating perpendicular to the particle propagation. Okay. They all can travel through vacuum. Since it's a part of light, so they are coming from sun to us. So they all can travel from through vacuum. They travel with the same speed in vacuum. The 7 type of electromagnetic waves we got as a continuous spectrum. Now there are some of the dangers that you should know about this thing. If I consider the radio wave, so almost no danger. That's completely fine. Microwave, if you see, they may possibly damage our organs or heating effect is there. Infrared, if you come across infrared, it can like burn, skin burn. Like if you look at a lot of light again and again, it may damage our eyes. So when we go from, this way, the danger increases since the energy is also increasing. And then ultraviolet may cause eye damage, sunburn, okay, and skin cancer. X-ray basically kills cells, mutation, and cancer. These things they may have if you come across X-rays again and again. Gamma rays kill cell, mutation, and cancer. Okay, so gamma rays will kill the cell, mutation, and the cancer. And communication with the satellite, the geostationary, and there are 2 types of satellite that also you should know some high-level understanding. Basically, polar orbit or geostationary are used for the communication purpose. Geostationary basically have a slightly bigger the circle, and the polar one has a slightly smaller circle. Geostationary rotate with respect to Earth. So this is geo. Geo is Earth, and stationary is basically with respect to. So geostationary satellites are stationary with respect to Earth. And polar one is used for weather forecasting and all, since they can give a clearer picture since their orbit is small. Geostationary used for the communication or TV broadcasting. Let's say any match is happening some other part of world, you want to see it. With the help of geostationary satellite, we'll be able to see it. But let's say if for weather forecasting, whether today it will rain or not, we will use the polar satellite because they have a lower orbit. We'll get clearer images and we'll get more direct information, not through the geostationary ones. So nuclear fission, we already know, basically where you have a very big uranium, highly unstable. Why it is unstable? Because of the proton to neutron ratio. So that's why it's unstable. Now, if that is unstable, so if you bombard with a neutron, they will break into 2 parts and release lot of energy. So that particular reaction we were calling as a nuclear fission. Now for a lower nucleus, which is like lighter nucleus, if they want to get stable, they will combine with together and release energy. So that process we called as a nuclear fusion. So nuclear fusion is defined as is a type of a nuclear reaction in which 2 lighter nuclei merge into one another and form a heavier nucleus accompanied by release of large amount of energy. When the lighter one merge, they become heavy nucleus and then they release a lot of energy. Generally, nuclear fusion reactions takes place inside the sun. Okay, so sun is has a lot of energy. It's a powerhouse of energy. So these hydrogen atom combine, make it helium and the neutron, and then release the energy. So there is something called as a proton-proton cycle in the sun. So in that case, what happens? That hydrogen will mix with a 1H1. It will become 1H2, and an electron will come out, and this will give you some sort of energy. Then this again hydrogen will merge with 1H2 and it will make helium and then a lot of energy. And this will make another isotope of helium and 2H hydrogens and will release a lot of energy. So this type of cycle we call as a proton cycle since it starts with the proton. And then again it will be continuously happening inside the sun and will release amount of energy. There are some other cycles are also present, which we call as a carbon-nitrogen cycle, where carbon combines with the hydrogen, makes a nitrogen and gamma radiation with energy. And this nitrogen will break into carbon, another isotope, and a positron. Okay. Positron is nothing but has a property like electron, but has a positive charge. Okay. Then this carbon 13 will again combine with hydrogen, will make nitrogen, another isotope, and the energy. And this nitrogen combines with hydrogen will make the oxygen plus the energy. And then again, this type of reaction continuously happening.